have here, looks like okay, it looks like Linda's Prepper Kitchen. If you're still here, hello. Sorry for the confusion. So I still get a little confused about if I have to, yeah, I have, okay, never mind. I'm not so confused now. Set out 2 notifications, 2 different start times. Well, that's a bad start to a live stream. Lordy. Yes. Did it take you somewhere else to a different live stream, Kaylee? Oh, actually, it's the very simplest way. I just said, this is how it is out of the shower, sweetie. You know, a little bit of scrunching, you know, that's it. That's all it. So Kaylee, then there was a third that did nothing. Sorry. So you were at the live stream, I know. Fairy Dust, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're trying to figure this out. I had a premiere, and what I did is here on StreamYard, Camp Goer 1, welcome. Glad you're here, Linda. Very much glad you're here. So I did when I signed up my StreamYard thing, it gets confusing trying to do this. Okay, so YouTube allows me to do I'm sorry. I have to figure it out. I thought I had it right. I thought I had it right. I hope others find their way here. Maybe I need to look. So talk amongst yourself for just a minute. Hello, Charlotte. Glad you made it over here. Was there any trouble getting here? Or does it automatically just connect you? Does it automatically just connect you here? I need to go out of my StreamYard, and I'll be right back. I want to make sure there's not another one floating around, and I'm be right back. Don't leave, I promise. I just have to step out of the studio for a second. Well, I just checked, and I don't see that there's another one running. That's what I was afraid of. So thank you, Linda. It's the very simplest way. I just literally step out of the shower. If I'm going to wear makeup, put makeup on. No matter what, all I have to do is just like scrunch my hair, get it in a basic position, and that's it. There's no fighting it. And that's what I am after these days. All right, so Charlotte, at the end of the other one, I just reloaded my YouTube link, then clicked on the slideshow. Okay. It is just so simple. All right, so it looks like it worked. All right, so welcome. I'm glad you're here. I just drank my Richard had made some tea that has lemon in it automatically, and it was very nice to have some tea. I'm in my family room. My window AC is just 12 feet away from me, so it's not bad in here at all. If you would like to share this out to your social media, it would be great to get some other people here before I start chatting. I'm just going to check and see how everybody's doing, first of all. So where are you at? Well, I mean, what state? What kind of heat wave are you going through? And is anybody here involved in the flooding? I pray to God not. So is that the area that you are from originally, Linda? I've always pictured it as, Wisconsin is beautiful, just really a beautiful state. Like, Oregon is very, at least on the west side of the Cascade Mountains, Oregon is extremely green. It's a beautiful place. Yes, they're just right around the corner in the dining room. Although it's not a dining room anymore. I have removed the kitchen table, and it's the table that's behind me here in the family room. I mean, this is where I do everything, and we don't really eat in there because, the bird dust flying around a little bit. I'm just not, no, I didn't want to eat on the table. And I will probably be putting some shelves in there for storage. Hot and humid, thank God, no flooding. Although I certainly have prayed for those that are going through that. If it's not one crisis, it's another right now. If it's not, the food shortage issue in certain areas, it is flooding, it is fires. As I posted the short last night, clear in Eugene from the California border, and we're halfway between California and Washington, so it's not like just a few miles away. It is definitely Tweety bird season. I mean, fire season. Yes, I saw the word Tweeties. Oh my God, that made me, I can't believe I just did that. Tweety bird season. That's funny. No, it's definitely fire season. Though Oregon itself, and again, thank you, God, we are not having a fire season. It really is unnerving people who are not normally overwhelmingly unnerved that I know anyways.
5 minutes, you just push it there.
I'm going to wait a few more minutes, but I will let you know. I'll let you know. Yes, the extreme happenings are a problem. Richard, you could say hi on your phone. Canyonville. Oh, you love Canyonville. Yes. I didn't think you lived in Canyonville. Canyonville is an adorable area, beautiful area. Arizona is flooding in Phoenix, but I'm in Kenosha, Wisconsin right now. Nice in the 80s, breathing. Yeah, 80s are perfect. Right now in Eugene, let me just go through this here real fast. Wisconsin, yep. Drainage for the rains. I've never been in a tornado. I've never even actually been in a earthquake. 102 in Richland, Washington. We look out the window smoke. So that's what caught. So yesterday, my son-in-law and I went to Walmart. We're Tweety girls are crazy. Yes, we are. We are. Richard actually loves those birds so much. He is the one who takes care of them for the most part. Brent does a little bit still, but it's like Richard gives them their food and water in the morning. And then later in the day, it just, we all give them attention. Hello, Victoria. Thank you so much for coming. I am very happy you're here. So I'm going to get in a little bit. I'm going to share some information here. I'm not going to be able to pay close attention to the chat for a few minutes. But before that, I wanted to check the weather, how hot it is here. Eugene weather. It was 100. Oh, it's 91 degrees. We got 91 degrees. Yeah. Well, I'm inside, and so it's not an issue for me. So they say this extreme heat is a cycle. I remember about 6 summers ago was hot, then cooler. How many days in the hundreds? Then cooler days. Cooler now. So we also, I remember, so my little sister and I were talking. I was very unhappy that here we were into July and we weren't even having any real major heat. And again, be careful what you wish for. So we were thinking back to 112. Oh, Vicky. Wow. Oh, honey, that's hot. Do you like 112? That scares me. So my little sister and I were talking about it, and we remember that clear up to like early July, we did not necessarily even have sun. There were many 4th of Julys we did not celebrate outside. We did not celebrate them outside. And so it's not uncommon for the Willamette Valley to not have to not have nice weather till into July. That's why I've always thought that our best months for consistent nice weather are towards the end of July and through August, and probably early September. 113 forecasts. So last year, for the first time ever, I believe, in this valley, except for maybe a long time ago, we had 111 or 112 degree heat. And so, yeah, I do think it's cyclical as well. I believe that there is a number of things that create that, but I think there's a big chunk of it is cyclical. Our central AC does not work, and so we have our heat pump is about probably about 25, 30 years old, and I can't get it fixed. So the topic of my premiere was intentionally. So what happened is earlier this last week, I read an article from here in Eugene. So it was the district attorney put this out, and I'm going to pull it up here. And let me see, windows. All right, it's right here. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. So let me find it again. Let me get the correct one up here because that's important. So the district attorney did a video, an article in the paper that it's just been the DA for a while. And this is just, I copy and pasted so that I could, and I'll put the link in here at the end. I'll put it in the description. So I'm going to read a little bit to you from it. Some low-level offenders could be off the hook as Lane County DA's office faces staffing crisis. Okay, and so I'll just kind of go through this low-level offenders. It's being called a no-file policy for nonviolent Class C felonies and low-level misdemeanors. Now, we went through this many years ago as well for a short period of time where certain crimes were not prosecuted. And she goes on to say, our streets are less safe. Crime has gone on the rise. Emphasis on crimes of violence. And so she's focusing on crimes of violence first. That's her goal. And we have had a tremendous amount of violent crime, which I'm going to share with you here in a minute as well. Perlow, which is the DA, said because there are so many prosecutors have quit or moved to other opportunities in the last several months, they're unable to manage the current caseload. She now, so 6 of them have left. She now has 3 lawyers with less than 3 months of experience handling all these cases. 3 months of experience. Perlow says the no-file list includes disorderly conduct, driving while suspended misdemeanors, failure to register as a sex offender misdemeanor, low-level property drug felonies, first-degree theft and criminal mischief, and unauthorized use of vehicles. And then she does go on to say that they will continue to pursue crimes that involve victimization of elderly people. Also, multiple things have ultimately led to this decision. This is the part. Crime rates are going up because of the decriminalization of drugs in the state of Oregon. People who are high are not in their right mind necessarily, and many are committing crimes of violence while under the influence of hard drugs. They are stealing to pay for drugs. Drugs didn't become free when they became decriminalized. And so let me stop here for a moment. So her point there, why that's so poignant, is that except for outliers, and I've known one, an outlier being the complete abnormal person for whatever it is. So I've known a meth user that had no violent history, was able to work a job for a long time, their whole life. And that is not the reality for 99 9/10 of the meth addicts, okay? Most have to steal to survive. And I'm going to include most of the, other illicit drugs. And I am not including marijuana in that, and I'll explain that at the end of this. All right, so they didn't become free just because the state of Oregon decided that they were now no longer going to be a criminal event. Perlow said another big factor was the staffing, the staffing issue that they left. They left due to the amount of work they had to do and the low pay, comparatively low pay. Then she goes on, as solutions, Perlow says there are many steps to take, and we will get back to a normal prosecution level, and paid attention to the laws that are enacted and repealed, funding to support from the Lane County Board of Commissioners, and investment in all aspects of that. Then down here, this is a personal story she shares. There was a police officer who was killed in California from somebody who had been arrested by Eugene police. And I made a decision not to file the charges, Perlow says. So I can't say they would have been held in custody. I just have to think that had that not been the circumstances, could there have been a different outcome for the dead officer? So, it's something that she has to think about. She says they're just unable to manage their workload. She hopes reinstating the no-file list will relieve some pressure on the system right now so that those attorneys can focus on the crimes, what they call the more serious violent crimes, which we do have murders, we do have rapes, we do have assaults. And she does refer to the normal caseload as crushing volume. So anyways, that was the story that prompted this. That was the story that prompted this, and it does disturb me. It is first of all, let me talk about this. Let's see if I've missed anybody. All right. Yeah, drugs didn't become free when they became decriminalized. Very salient. And the thing about this is, Kaylee, is that so crime has increased. I've got sitting up here on the back of my computer a couple of 3 stories where shootings were involved, and right here, two shootings and a stabbing of a woman who it was life-threatening. All 3 of them have survived. However, it's a serious situation, and unfortunately, I it's never my intention to offend anybody. However, there are certain groups of politicians, and I'm just going to put that, this is politicians, who have responsibility for kind of creating an environment where the state, the community they work in. Oregon is considered probably now specifically the most liberal state in the nation. And there's some good things to that. We have the expanded health care, of which I get expanded health care. We also have a lot of attention trying to help people make sure they eat. Eugene itself has invested a lot of money, is in the process of finding a way to get people off the streets, trying to get people off the streets. There is opening up a 45-bed new, I think it's a 5-level apartment unit. The cool thing about this place is they are taking the most vulnerable, disabled people up from the streets. Now, that's who want to go. Not everyone wants to go, all right? Because there are people who really don't want to live within the rules and the boundaries that are about them in their local communities. So it is a 45-room apartment complex, 5 stories. Everybody has their own unit. It is it's not a 1-bedroom. It's what I'm trying to think of what's just down from a 1-bedroom. I can't think of the name. So anyway, they are moving them in the process of studio, Kaylee. Thank you. Studio. Yes, ma'am. So policy, when a state or municipality, no, she did not. I'll never understand it. I really don't. And that's not for me even political. They had taken that federal building there captive. It was a federal building. They were attacking it physically. It was a nightmare. And so this is happens. So yeah, we're discussing Oregon, but yes, ma'am. So we, it is a liberal, although my son-in-law, who you're going to hear from here shortly, would argue that there are no liberals. Because he's way more what I would call, or he would call, liberal. So there is this idea that almost anything goes, but it takes money to take care of people. It takes resources. So this new housing complex, this new apartment building, I don't want to gloss over this. What it's going to involve is the people who live in there will be assessed right off the bat, and it will be what's called low barrier, meaning they're saying no alcohol, no drugs. However, if somebody uses substances, they are not going to prevent them from moving in there. They want them there to get started down the path of self care. So they move in there, they will have a case manager who will assess them for substance treatment, will assess for VA potential resources, will assess them for all things necessary, medical, food, because there are people out there that have been on the streets for so long, they just don't know what to do, and it does seem like a mountain. And by the way, if I were still an active alcoholic, and I was on the streets, I can imagine how overwhelming that might feel. And that I might think, why even get up this morning when I can grab, a bottle of tequila and that will keep me company? Or a meth addict who, because I know many meth users. They're not active right now, but I've known many meth users over all of my life. And they're not all bad, ugly people. Some of them are very good people. And the disease of addiction really messes their lives up. So I also want to say, how does this connect to prepping? How does it connect to RV life? Safety is imperative. Safety is an imperative. I don't care where you go or what you do. Safety and being certain that you have the ability to walk out your door, whether it be out your RV door, whether it be out your back door into a backyard or a front yard, or that you go down the street. And right now there are people who have been attacked, not locally that I know. Well, yes, that's not true. So we've even had local attacks on people coming out of stores for groceries, for their groceries. And I believe we will see that uptick continue to happen, because that never happened before the times we're living in right now. I want to go back and read what Kaylee said. Sometimes if people get the right meds they need, they can become productive citizens. Hypothyroid surprisingly turns out to be a big deal. Yes. So glad you're back, Vicki. So the deal about that is true. And I know people who are on medication in order to deal with whether there may be depression that created this dynamic of trying to find an escape. And that's important. Or let's say it's somebody who's just damaged their body so bad that the odds of staying off of an opiate is very low. There is a shot you can get once a month. There is a medicine you can put under your tongue. There is lots of things available besides, the recovery programs. There's AA, there's NA, there's OA, there's Cocaine Anonymous, there's Prostitutes Anonymous. It doesn't matter what there is a need for to get to change in one's life. There is a 12-step program for it. Thank you, God, for that. So in my own living situation, so making certain that I am safe and my family is safe when we leave our house matters to me. Hello, Cynthia Pollock. Thank you for popping in here. My friend I went to school with, daughter, was a meth addict back in 2017. I took her in, got her in a program, and she's cleaning back in Wisconsin now. It's a rough road. You know what? That is amazing. Thank you for doing that, because you know what? The average person is not going to do that. They just don't. They just don't. And I will tell you, it can be hard, by the way. I'm trained in it. I've worked in it. I've had family members who have survived it. And the deal is that it can be very challenging. I have got a niece in prison right now here in Oregon related to her. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you very much for that virtual hug. I love hugs. She's an adult. She is nearing 50, and she is in women's prison here in Oregon for about 4 years. I think she has about 2.5 left to do. And it's related directly to meth addiction and mental health issues, along with a lot of pain. And she does not mind that I share that, by the way. I didn't share her name, but it doesn't matter. She wouldn't mind, because she would love to see other people not have to suffer, or to understand better that, what are some of the reasons. So many drugs in Arizona, kids, young adults addicted. Yes. And here in Eugene specifically, yes, it can. And I have spent a big chunk of my life helping other women learn how not to drink and use. Now, again, like I said in my video, most of the women that I have worked with are women that were also addicted to heroin and methamphetamine. I work close with them. I help them do certain recovery work, and and it can be a challenge. I had a heroin addict who I knew very well, very well. I absolutely adore her, and I love her so much. She was foaming at the mouth. She was head down on the table in this place where we met. And she's telling me that she's not loaded, and that I always accuse her of it, which I never had one time accused her of it, because I knew she was clean. So it's a balancing act, learning to deal with. So that's kind of what, it takes patience, it takes solidity in your own recovery, and it takes other tools. Yes, she's getting better. And unfortunately, this is not her first go around. She had been in prison for 14 years before that, and had been out for about 5, and eventually got back involved in it. And that was, rather than tell her story, I will just say, rather than do the steps that were given to her to start taking, she wanted to just be free, and that took her to her old people, places, and things. In recovery, it is recommended you leave behind your old your playground, playmates, and playthings. Playground, playmates, and playthings. And hello, Box Van D, thank you for coming by. The video, I would say the video is the thing to watch, because it really gives more information. Here in Oregon, they have decriminalized, the legislature decriminalized a whole slew, like 8 drugs, including methamphetamine, heroin, MDMA, all kinds of things. I actually have the list. And so, yeah, that is the way to put it, Kaylee. It's the deal. And again, if y'all feel so inclined, please share this out to your social media. I would love to have some more people in here, because eventually I'm hoping we can get some other people to talk about ideas they have. So what happened, Dee, is that in Eugene, crime spiked, drug use spiked. The overdose deaths are insane. The amount of overdose deaths from fake fentanyl being cut into drugs is off the charts. And as a result of making this a non-crime any longer, it's an open invitation, in essence, in my opinion, my very humble opinion, but as someone who has spent a lot of time around recovering people, and not recovering people, by the way, is that it's been an open invitation. It's like, come to Oregon.
Are you going to have that on there?
In a few more minutes, Richard. Come to Oregon. It is you're not going to get in trouble for drugs. as long as you have this, there is a specific amount of each drug, but by the way, it still requires that there be dealers somewhere, okay? That there still be dealers. So it creates an environment of being, the whole community being unsafe. And as things ramp up, and if we do get unrest related to crises that I think many people believe might be coming, then it's the environment is ripe for really bad things. I now have protection, my own safety mechanism that I have, that I can make sure I'm safe at all times. I'm not paranoid. I'm not, looking over my shoulders at all times, but I do know that there are things going on in this world. Hello, Arthur in Oregon. It's been a long time. Got home from the hospital, had a major heart attack and diagnosed with precancerous growth. I apologize for, no, please don't apologize. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with any of this. I'm so sorry you've had to deal with any of it. I hope that things are better for you right now, Arthur. At least you're home. So to me, that means things are better, or am I just wishful thinking? Absolutely, Arthur. Best wishes for complete recovery from both issues. And I hope you get that all figured out. I need to backtrack here because I do know I saw the word baby. All right, here we go. Linda. Kaylee, she got pregnant with the dealer's baby, wanted me to get her an abortion. I refused. The baby was her saving grace. She has purpose. Baby came out fine. I made sure she never used during pregnancy. Thank you for doing that. Thank you so much. It's a hard, there's many babies, as you well know, that are born with well, it used to be called fetal alcohol syndrome. It's a very specific syndrome specific to babies born to alcoholic moms, but now they know there is also a thing called drug effect syndrome. And so I'm so happy that you were able to help that mama stay clean. And I just will be praying that she's able to continue moving forward. Yep, take your meds and eat well, Arthur. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so good drug-free boyfriend now is working and taking care of Riley, who is 5 now. Oh my gosh. I am, my son was planned. Brent was planned. We wanted a baby and we had Brent. Took us a year to get pregnant, but got pregnant, had Brent. I do know many children that were not planned that do turn out to be the saving grace for a mama. And that's so, it's a miraculous process. So I'm going to show you a couple of things here. I'm going to bring up on the screen. I think I have to go to Chrome. No, that's not what I wanted. Oh, here we go. So, as I said, one of the consequences to this is that the increase, well, a 70% increase in overdose deaths. That's a big increase. If that does not, and I've shared this information with a multitude of people, and mainly within my family, I do put some of it on Facebook. but I really have tried to educate my family. They're educated, and you know, the fact of the matter is everybody has a different opinion and they see things differently. I'm very strict about this because having spent so much time in the recovery world and working with the ladies that I've worked with, and knowing their stories, so we get real personal, and I share my story with them and they share their story with me. And then over a period of time, a lot more information comes out. And it is, so this is specifically being driven by fentanyl being put into these, being cut into meth and heroin. It's a frightening thing because including, and ecstasy, you know, it's shocking. It really is shocking. I will tell you a quick little anecdotal story here. I'm going to be as vague as I can. I'm going to be as vague as I can. So, someone that I know was at a wedding here recently, and it was in another town in Oregon, a larger town than Eugene, and the at this wedding full of doctors of all kinds, and dentists, apparently in one bathroom there was being cocaine used, and in another bathroom are Adderall snorted. So, and these doctors, they were doctors involved in this. It was not, it was not street people. It wasn't homeless people. It was doctors. And I think there's a misconception about who might be using drugs too. And having studied this, but it has been several years ago, I know that I'm out of the loop on that right now. And I don't have the time, unless I was going to go get my master's degree, which I can't do. I just can't do. In public policy, that's what I was working on. I would, my thesis would be about this topic, but I just can't do it. I don't have a future in it working because of the spine, as y'all know, hear me whining about it enough. And so that little anecdotal story told to me from someone who I'm very close to, who was at this wedding. Sweet little farmhouse, 250 people there, professional DJ. It was a nice wedding, and a lot of drugs. Yeah, I would never have thunk it. Never thunk it. My foster children I had back in the 90s were born from mothers who were using during pregnancy. Side effects show up even many. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Absolutely. It does affect them. It affects it can affect their physical normally there's an area right in here where you can kind of see, at least with alcohol, fetal alcohol syndrome, there is a flattening, very much a flattening area right there. He does. I do remember, Arthur, that you had a wonderful wife. You have a wonderful wife, and I'm so glad that you've got somebody there taking care of you. I wish I'd got my master's, but I did get my BA. Yeah, I got my BA too in family and human services. Imagine that, family and human services, and my master's degree that I was working on is public policy. So, yes, there are especially without, look up fetal alcohol babies, and you will see what that looks like. It's pretty specific. Now, that doesn't mean that all are, by no means. I suspect that my mother drank with us. Yes, eyes are a little further apart. That can be one of the signs. And there can be some intellectual slowing, but usually with extra attentive work and really being a hands-on parent, those kind of things like that can be worked with. So it really did. So I was 50. I was 50 when I graduated. That was, 10 years. Oh, goodness. It's been 10 years ago. And I'm glad I did it then, because I would have never been able to retain any information the way that I did. And I wasn't mature enough. When I got out of high school, I was not ready to go to college. I just was not ready to go to college. So I'd like to see if there is, I'm going to ask my son-in-law, who has some, so my opinion is it needs to be repealed. I believe there is a way to take care of it, but I'm not the one in charge. My son-in-law has a completely opposite opinion or way to deal with it. Richard, if you want to take that to him now and let him know that when he's ready to click on that, and it'll get him here. Early childhood programs help kids. Yes, absolutely. I know a few little children right now who have some issues related to mom and dad's substance addiction, and they're all clean, but the children are still the ones who will suffer long term for that. So my son-in-law is going to come on. We're going to talk about this a bit. So last night when I was telling him my adamant, I feel this way, I think this, I think that. Way delayed, yes. Yeah, that's a good point, Dee. Those kind of things do get delayed. So Josh and I were discussing this, and he is, like I said, he is way got a lot of different opinions, but I want to tell you, he's an extremely smart guy. Can you hear me, Josh? He's a very smart guy. He has a strong opinions on things, but he is respectful. And, I just thought it might be useful that I hear from someone else with a different opinion than I've got. So, hey, Josh.
Hi. Oh, I'm here. Look, it's me.
It's you.
There I am. There he is. There's leftists. Quick, run.
Oh, he's so funny. Josh, you're crazy. I think you might be a little nervous or something,
You want? I was going to say it's a little bit like the band Kiss. Remember Kiss? You
Oh,
wanted the left, and you got the left. The leftiest guy in the house, Josh.
yes. Oh God. So they're saying hi to you, Josh. You're not going to be seeing the chat, but I do. And so anyways, we were talking, you and I, last night about this whole decriminalization of drugs in Oregon, and then the resulting increased deaths from overdoses, the increased crime rate, and the open door policy now, if you will, to every substance addict that would like to have a place to not be punished to be high. All right. Is that about sum up what I said, if you remember?
Yeah, I mean, you're breaking up. The audio's all messed up, but I know what you're talking about. So, should I just take the reins? Should I just begin what I'm?
Tell them what you.
The floor is yours. Oh, you're going to regret this. All right. So, my philosophy, and not just this little area, but in anything pertaining to where capitalism manufactures profit out of punishment.
Oh,
What happened? Oh, there I
oh,
am. I'm
hold
back.
on. I'm sorry. I hit the button. Okay, back to capitalism.
Well, we're always back in capitalism, whether we know or not. Um, Punition. Capitalism is a system that is on its way out because it's primarily for many reasons. There can't one live stream would not be adequate time to describe the full spectrum and scope of the reasons why capitalism is on its way out. But primarily among these reasons is that in late stage capitalism, pretty much everything that's been commodified, packaged and sold back to us at a profit for whoever's manufacturing it, operating in the realm of the necessary, or vital goods and services that pretty much everyone agrees on should have some kind of compensation for the labor and the effort that goes into manufacturing and making them. Unfortunately, in late stage capitalism, everything has already been commodified that fits the criteria of what you would deem necessary. So the cannibalistic system begins to look at things that have no business being turned into being subject to a profit motive, and it turns them into not just subject to a profit motive, but epic centers of profit in the culture. So drugs being kind of a primary, I don't know what you would call touchstone of society or what have you. Everybody, so everybody has an opinion. Everybody's doing it. Just it's nothing that can be stopped. Has to do with the reaction to punition, and that for a long time now, punition has been the primary modality of dealing with drug use.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a whole for-profit prisons all across the world, all across this continent? It's one of the most major trillion-dollar industries and
Yep.
profit centers in the culture. And so sample size is big enough now to where you could make the conclusion and draw the very valid and legitimate conclusion that punition may be profitable for some people, but it doesn't work in solving the problems we're claiming to be addressing.
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be another approach or integrated, synthesized series of approaches that do the right thing for more of the participants in these situations. Because right now, just leads to more authoritarianism, more punishment, more prisons, more depredation, more hopelessness, more us and them. And it hasn't worked. If you could say, well, we're just starting this approach now, and let's give it 25 years of prison to see what it's like, and if begins to reform the problem, you've had decades after decades after decades of for-profit prisons stacked to the gills with drug users, drug sellers, drug participators, and ain't nobody using less drugs. Ain't nobody on the path to curing and solving the myriad, multidimensional problem of substance abuse and addiction. So the universe is telling you, might be time to try something different. And legalization, or not just legalization is the wrong word, decriminalization,
Right.
like we were talking about yesterday, Lucky, when the effort comes out of hiding, that effort can then be substantiated into actually addressing what's going on with the issue, free of the impulse to authoritarian punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Once that comes out of it, the effort can then go into developing real world solutions that go beyond just, the easy, let's throw them all in jail and throw away the key alleged solution, which hasn't worked as a solution. It hasn't. Go under the freeway down there downtown in any city, and there's dozens and hundreds of drug addicts.
Right.
But for-profit prisons of decades of prison industrial complex hasn't even bitten a chunk out of that iceberg. So
Mm-hmm.
you tell me. Either madness is defined by doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to get a different result. We've imprisoned drug addicts and users and sellers at a rate no industrial country has ever even approached, and our whole civilization It's another reason why our whole civilization is at the brink and the precipice of irrevocable collapse.
So, so I don't even disagree with what you're saying. Most of what you're saying. When I get concerned, so I just want you to know, Kaylee commented, profitable modalities of punishment fuel crime and tragedy, in her opinion. So, and that's basically what you're saying. Profitable mode of punishment fuels crime and tragedy.
It ensures it. It ensures it because, once again, if criminals of any kind, not just drug abusers or sellers or, dealers, what have you, importers, traffickers, any criminal behavior that the primary reaction and response to it is, prison.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's established as a paradigm, if there's no more criminals, the system's going to make some criminals because it needs to profit from their imprisonment. Whole industries have grown up around someone's kids are going to go to college because Johnny's shooting a meth under the freeway. So if these criminals don't exist, well, they're going to have to be created. And that's the inevitable outcome. It doesn't matter what the moral intentions are. That doesn't matter. What matters is the real world impacts of behavior and whether we choose to respond or react to that behavior. The measure of that behavior isn't what the criminals and the people at the edge of society do to us and our civilization. The measure of us is in the response we fashion to those realities.
Mm-hmm. Well, so where we kind of ideally could come to some kind of how to then bridge it to, all right, so if it's decriminalized, which I still disagree with, but how do we then decrease the deaths of let's just start with that. How do we decrease the deaths of people that the drugs are being cut with fentanyl, this fake fentanyl, I believe it is, and it is killing them by the hundreds. In one night alone last week, we had 7 overdoses.
Those overdoses have existed for decades and decades. I mean, this is nothing new. This is just old wine in new bottles. Those overdose deaths have been happening, and they're going to keep happening. The question is the response. They exist. This behavior exists in the world. Maybe we don't want it to exist in the world. Maybe it's not efficacious for it to exist in the world, but that doesn't decrease or diminish the reality that despite our best intentions and hopes, it continues to exist in the world. So you have to have some revision in your catalog or index of possible responses, given that these prisons have existed. They are full. You couldn't wedge another coke dealer into Leavenworth right now. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Create like a whole continent of prisons? Where does it end? Where's the line? Where does punition and authoritarianism give way to an approach where we start to integrate not just the backs of our brains, but the fronts, the left side?
Well, and Fairy Dust just made a great. Oh, and I just want to, as a disclaimer, it shouldn't matter, but I'm just going to say it. Josh does not and never has done any of those drugs, so he doesn't have a dog in the fight, so to speak. In having. So Fairy Dust, she made a good point here. Laws are made for safety, but there's too much population that doesn't respect it regarding drugs. So the safety, so like what we're facing here right now with the increased crime is a genuine issue. It's not just a made up thing. Yes, there's always been crime, but crime has increased exponentially as the additional people are in the area because they know they can come here and use freely, so to speak, but they still have to figure out how to get their money in order to buy it from the dealer. And so the laws that are there to protect people you know, they're not respected. You know, first of all, they're not respected. Partly because they get arrested and they go to jail. They get arrested and they go to jail. So in some ways, those laws about drugs in and of themselves have created that revolving door. It looks like.
Makes a lot of money for somebody.
That's true. Let's see.
Unimaginable amounts of money. It's unimaginably profitable. You can't conceive of how profitable it is.
Linda here says, my last video I recorded in Kenosha and Lincoln Park, there were 3 kids going under a bridge. I'm sure they were up to no good. And that may be, and also it might not be, you know. I have to, so personally, I can be a very judgmental person, partly because I've not really ever been wrong. When I see a situation, I'm usually right, Josh. I know. So you're probably right, Linda. Camp Gorwan, the drugs that come over from Mexico into Arizona is totally crazy, and you should know because you live in Arizona. So, would you say there is you'll probably be seeing those drugs push northward to Oregon? So, how about, do you think there is a way to bridge allowing them to be decriminalized and dealing with the actual crimes that are committed?
You need resources. You have to have resources. All your resources right now go into what? 86 military bases in every possible zip code on Earth? To do what? To protect you from what? Who protects the world from you? You know? I mean, these approaches don't work. It doesn't matter what has happened up to this point. The only thing that matters is the sample size is large enough to where we see that these approaches don't, in any kind of way that means anything by any meaningful metric, decrease or ameliorate substance abuse. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
We have more addicts now, more dealers now, more drugs now, more designer drugs now, more people hopeless enough to want to spend every moment of their day in an altered state of consciousness in denial of the hopeless reality that the ridiculous system has wrought around them than we ever had before. So either you're going to get off the train that's been going on the same track forever, or you're just going to be on the train that renders the same results of fear, lack of security, perception of lack of safety, and of, you know, lost people roaming the streets, not in any position to experience the kind of hope for their future and their future lives that might bring them eventually and in any kind of lasting way out of addiction and the patterns of behavior that cause it.
Mm-hmm.
Get hip.
It is a there has to be some addressing of the whole issue, or there will be, it will fail. I think there's some good that can come from it if we can get, so the idea originally was that people would have 2 choices. That's what people were told. I didn't believe it to start with, but the idea was that people would be given the opportunity to, if they didn't want to get a ticket, it's a class E. They even invented a new class of like class A, B, C, D. So of crime, it's a class A infraction, or class E infraction, as in Edward, class E infraction, to accommodate this. But what I don't want to see is, I don't want to see what's happened in Portland, which nobody can really deny that. You look at Portland, you look at, and that's even before, that was before the problem. Los Angeles, San Francisco, which you're very well aware of the ugliness that has happened there.
San Francisco, 1 in 4 people on the streets is a homeless veteran now. So
Right.
It's beyond even the scope of just drugs. I mean, what does that say? That you have thousands of homeless veterans on the street. And no, this is a country where you cannot, forgive the obscenity of this metaphor, you cannot swing a dead cat without hearing support the troops and a fetishistic, tribalistic, honestly, deeply disturbing and primitive worship of the military industrial complex that seems to stop dead in its tracks as soon as those people hit the streets with needles in their arms back from the war.
And that's a crime in and of itself. The dropping of
That's
the
not a
veteran.
crime. That's a recipe for the total disintegration of civilization.
Why do you say that?
Because the basis of the hypocrisy is so profound, so genetic, so at the atomic molecular level of existence, that the whole structure of the civilization, the alleged civilization and society, becomes insupportable at the moment that it discards its veterans in this kind of wholesale mass way. And out of the other side of its mouth has industries after industries of flag manufacture, where what I'm saying is that symbology becomes at that moment so empty that the civilization and society it claims to support can no longer be.
Now I understand what you're saying, and I agree. Yep, that is.
It's a kind of sociological karma.
Yeah, on one side we can't be, as you saying, you've got people who, by the way, I love our military. I love the people who are willing to go do whatever it is they need to do to create a sense of safety for us. And Linda here says, if the research field can come up with a vaccine, I'm sure they can figure something out. I agree. All right, Josh. Well, I appreciate you taking some time here to come and chat with us and give us your take on things. I really genuinely say this, that you are a very smart fella and you have spent a lot of time, you've been out there in the world for a while as well. And so, some of the things going on just as well as I do. So thank you very much. When I drop you down, all you have to do is hit the red X that says leave studio.
Okay, I'll do that. And thanks for having me. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right. So, Josh has got some great ideas, and he has a unique to me, because I have some strong feelings about things, but it doesn't mean that I'm fully right. And he's not wrong in so much of what he says. If they have cures for cancer, they have cures for diabetes, they have cures for such things, and yet they are a $1 trillion worldwide corporation. It is all about money. That's true. I can't disagree with that at all, Fairy Dust. Not at all. And Josh and I have some pretty good conversations, because he is the cook in his family. Between him and Brent. Now Brent cooks. He cooks great, but Josh really enjoys it, and he enjoys doing that for Brent. And so I'd like to be cured of my diabetes. So let me tell you something, Kaylee. But anyway, let's just say this. Josh, when he's working in the kitchen, he's just on the other side of the counter from me. So we end up having a lot of conversations. So Kaylee, I am diabetic. Diabetes, so I'm diabetic, and I had an A1C over 7 point whatever, 7.1, let's say. And then through my original weight loss, which was originally 100 pounds, I got myself into a place where I wasn't even having to take medicine at that point, but I started being very watchful, and I am now considered in remission from my diabetes. Now, it's not reflected in my weight, in my opinion. The doctors have said I'm an anomaly. I'm just an anomaly. It doesn't comport with when you would think I'm full raging diabetic, having to take injections, and I'm not, thank God, but I'm not. There's always hope. There's always hope. I don't know what you do for it, but yeah, it is starting to affect me. It affected my eyes. I had cataracts in my eyes, and around age 55, I'd have cataracts removed from both my eyes. I mean, that's crazy. So anyways, there is a lot involved, in the world right now. We're dealing with many, many things. Sounds like what my mother used to deal with. Okay. My mother somebody else had to completely cook her food. She couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle food because she was a food addict. And berberine. And so that's really, my mom's weight fluctuated because that's just how it was. So anyways, I just wanted to bring this to the attention of other people. See if anybody else has any ideas of what to do. Maybe something that you've seen work in your area with relative to I am so sorry. One of my sisters has to take pills, although she should be taking insulin. Here's what she did though. Nancy started doing keto, and because she's like me, we are carbohydrate addicts. Okay, we never seen a piece of bread we didn't want to eat, and all other non-good carbs at that. And she was able to lose quite a bit of weight doing that, and she was very religious about it, and it helped her quite a bit. She had numbers like that, 700. She had 700, 600 regular all the time, and this has helped. So what I can tell you is the keto diet helped her. Now she is not strict, but she has to be really careful because it's like an addiction to anything. When she takes one bite of bread, the game is on. Too much good cheese in Wisconsin is what I understand. So yeah, cherry cheesecake. So I have an endocrinologist too because of the I have because I had to take so many steroids for so many years for my knees, because my knees were like gravel inside of them before I got them replaced. And I mean like gravel pieces being rubbed together. Okay, so I used to have every 4 months, I would have injections into my knees. And I did it every 4 months because I had to have that steroid. Well, it really damaged my endocrine system. And reason I wear the one necklace is because it explains that I have adrenal insufficiency. And so that, thank you, dear. Yeah, so I talked to her about it too. So what I was going to say is I talked to her about keto. She had done some keto. She was this little short East Indian lady, wonderful, wonderful woman, and very fun, great conversations with her. Now your situation is likely totally, well, everybody's situations are different. But I'm telling you, I have to be so careful. This morning, for instance, I made Richard and I a omelet, and all it had in it, some onions and peppers in it, and so just a very little bit of cheese. Richard can't tolerate, his body doesn't process cheese well. I know. What kind of person doesn't process cheese well? So anyways, I didn't want to have bread with it. I did not want to have bread with it. So I did our omelets. We're out there, we eat the omelets. And before you know it, I'm in the kitchen making some toast because I just could not, I just should have had the piece of toast right then and there. Your knees have been cracking since Midwest. Oh, the cold maybe. The metformin is not good. Break down muscle. So I can't take metformin. I tried back in the very beginning when I was diagnosed with it because 7.1 is very high, obviously. I have it down to 5.3 now. 5.3. But it causes me to have intestinal issues. And it's no fun. So, yeah, I can't use that. All right, guys. So I think that's it for now. I am going to be working on something else this week. We will do, I'm thinking of maybe throwing a second live stream back in the mix. Just thinking about it. Okay. I have to figure things out. This week I have 2 doctor's appointments, 3. So it wouldn't be this week. But I'm just thinking about doing a day that is a topic day like this, picking something that's going on relative to preparedness. And I really, this is the core of preparedness for me. Safety, security, making sure that, you know, our environment is as safe as possible, not just for me, but for everybody. Okay. The idea that this poor woman was stabbed the other night, I can't even bear the thought, really. And I am applying for my concealed handgun permit. And so I will see how that goes. Okay, so I would do that too. And you know why? Because I can take Tabasco and sprinkle Tabasco all over the popcorn. I know. But I also want to have one that isn't, you know, necessarily just this, you know, just a check-in, just time to check in. So anyways, I hope that there was something that came out of that for you guys. I definitely always learn something, especially like when I read it back to myself, or I, you know, I think about it more than once. You know, I think about it more than once, and it helps me kind of formulate some ideas about what can be done to maybe help people. Because for me, this ain't about, you know, just finding, you know, people and putting them in jail. It's never helped, and he's right. It's never helped. My niece wouldn't be sitting back in prison after a 14-year stint and back in for 4 years if that fixed it. And yes, she did get help in there, and she was a member of a recovery program while she was in there, had a real person on the outside who went there once a week and worked with her and went through recovery steps with her and did everything. And then, but unfortunately, carrying that forward on the outside was not as easy as it was on the inside. And that's one of the problems. And a 14-year stint is huge anyways. So anyways, I am working on that for myself. I just need it. I believe I live in a town that used to be, in my opinion, one of the safest places to be. And yes, everybody, please take care of yourselves. And however you've got to do that, you know, we all need to feel that we have that control in our lives. So, so anyways, I'm working on that and doing some other things, working on another canning video of I haven't got this one finished that I've been working on. So anyways, I got stuff going on, got stuff coming up, and I'm just so grateful that you are here, and I appreciate you supporting the channel, coming back for watching things, and I will, I will be here again next week with something. And in the meantime, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and keep your head on a swivel. All right, guys, have a great evening. Bye-bye.